Every apex predator in history evolved with a specific set of rules. The lion relies on ambush. The wolf relies on the pack. Nature kept them in a perfect, brutal balance for millions of years. But about 50,000 years ago, a glitch appeared in the system. A creature that didn't play by the rules of biology. Ancient humans realized that you don't need sharp claws if you can manipulate time, heat, and gravity. This is the dark, calculated story of how ancient humans used psychological warfare to hunt down the 5 deadliest predators to ever walk the earth. We begin not with a stalker in the grass, but with a walking fortress. Imagine a beast weighing up to 8 tons, covered in thick fur, with curved tusks stretching 15 feet long. The woolly mammoth, alongside the armored prehistoric woolly rhino, were the undisputed monarchs of the Ice Age landscape. No single predator on Earth could bring them down. A single strike from their massive limbs could crush an entire pack of wolves into dust. To a hairless ape with a sharpened stick, attacking this creature head-on wasn't just suicide. It was statistically impossible. The hide was too thick, the muscle too dense. If ancient humans played by the rules of muscle, the mammoth wins every single time. But ancient humans didn't fight the mammoth. They fought the planet around the mammoth. Ancient humans looked at these titans and realized a fundamental biological flaw. Weight. Massive size is an advantage on solid ground, but it becomes a death sentence when the ground changes. Ancient humans began to map the geography, identifying natural bottlenecks, deep mud pits, and hidden cliff edges. The strategy was psychological terror. Ancient humans wouldn't approach the mammoth quietly. Instead, an entire tribe would gather, wielding fire, beating drums, and screaming in a coordinated, unnatural rhythm. To an animal that had never feared anything, this chaotic sensory overload triggered absolute panic. The mammoth didn't see a threat it could fight. It saw an invisible, terrifying wall of sound and light. Driven by sheer blind panic, the giant would flee along a path ancient humans had already chosen. The chase would lead directly toward a steep ravine or a deep, muddy bog. The moment the mammoth's massive feet broke through the thin crust of a mud trap, the battle was over. The very weight that protected the beast now anchored it to the earth. Trapped, exhausted, and unable to turn its colossal tusks toward its attackers, the titan was entirely at the mercy of patient, calculating ancient humans. Ancient humans didn't use brute strength. They weaponized gravity and turned the earth itself into an executioner. As we move down the list, the targets get faster, sharper, and far more aggressive. Enter the American lion. This wasn't the lion you see on safaris today. This Ice Age predator was roughly 25% larger, built entirely of dense muscle, capable of sprinting at terrifying speeds, and possessed a bite force designed to snap bone instantly. It was the ultimate feline athlete, patrolling the open plains with absolute territorial dominance. If ancient humans encountered an American lion on an open field, running was useless. The lion is faster. Fighting with bare hands was an immediate execution. So, how do you hunt a creature that outmatches you in every physical metric? You exploit its engine. Felines are built for explosive, short-distance power. They have massive hearts and high-twitch muscles designed to end a fight in seconds. But this extreme athletic performance comes with a massive evolutionary defect. They cannot cool their bodies down efficiently. They overheat rapidly. Ancient humans, on the other hand, possessed a biological cheat code that broke the rules of nature. We sweat. Our hairless bodies and advanced cooling systems allow us to run for hours without our internal temperature shutting our organs down. The hunt for the American lion didn't happen in the cool safety of the night. It happened under the brutal, blazing midday sun. A small group of ancient humans would deliberately track the lion to its resting place. They wouldn't sneak up for an ambush. Instead, they would simply stand in the distance, showing themselves. The lion, confused and agitated by this bold intruder, would move away. Ancient humans would follow. Step by step, hour after hour, never letting the predator rest. Every time the lion tried to lie down in the shade to cool its boiling blood, ancient humans would reappear on the horizon. This is what scientists call persistence hunting, but psychologically it was pure psychological torture. The lion didn't understand why this fragile prey kept coming. As the hours dragged on, the lion's internal temperature reached critical levels. Its muscles began to cramp, its vision blurred. The ultimate apex athlete was literally cooking from the inside out. By the time ancient humans closed the distance, the terrifying king of the plains was so profoundly exhausted it could barely lift its head. Ancient humans didn't out-muscle the lion, they out-endured it. But what happens when the predator isn't alone? What happens when you face a creature that uses the exact same advantage you do? The power of a group. Level 3 brings us to the dire wolf. Heavier, thicker, and with a jaw mechanism significantly more destructive than any modern wolf, these predators didn't hunt as individuals. They operated as a highly coordinated, hyper-intelligent collective brain. A pack of dire wolves could map an environment, communicate through silent visual cues, and isolate a target with chilling military precision. For a long time, ancient humans and wolves were direct rivals, competing for the exact same meat. To hunt the hunters, ancient humans had to do something entirely unnatural. They had to understand the psychology of their enemy's social structure. Every wolf pack is governed by a strict hierarchy built on dominance, trust, and the central authority of the alpha pair. If the alpha moves, the pack moves. If the alpha hesitates, the system fractures. Ancient humans didn't try to fight the entire pack at once. That would be a chaotic bloodbath. Instead, they used tools of isolation. Using fire to create artificial barriers in the brush, ancient humans would deliberately split the pack, cutting off the younger, less experienced wolves from the core group. Once the pack's coordination was disrupted, ancient humans would focus every ounce of their collective violence on a single target, often the alpha. They used projectile weapons, like spears thrown from a distance, allowing them to inflict lethal damage without ever entering the radius of the wolf's deadly jaws. The moment the alpha fell, the collective brain of the pack shattered. Without a leader to anchor their coordination, the remaining wolves reverted from a calculated military unit back into terrified, individual animals. Ancient humans didn't just break the bones of the wolves, they broke their social code. The further down we go, the more dangerous the environments become. To hunt our next predator, ancient humans couldn't rely on the open plains or the bright midday sun. They had to go into the dark. The cave bear was a monstrous creature, standing over 11 feet tall when reared on its hind legs, weighing up to 1,000 pounds. It possessed claws the size of human hands, and a skull so thick it could deflect poorly aimed primitive weapons. But its greatest defense wasn't its size, it was its home, the deep, pitch-black, claustrophobic cave systems of Europe and Asia. Inside a cave, a person is completely blind, slow, and out of their element. The bear, however, knows every corner. It can navigate by scent and sound alone. For a tribe of ancient humans, entering a bear's cave was stepping directly into the jaws of a monster. Yet, ancient humans did it anyway, because caves were the ultimate real estate for survival against the freezing Ice Age winds. To hunt the cave bear in its own sanctuary, ancient humans weaponized an element that no animal on Earth has ever truly mastered: fire. Fire isn't just a heat source, it is a profound psychological weapon. To the wild mind of a bear, fire is a chaotic force of pure destruction, a forest fire trapped indoors. Ancient humans would enter the cave mouth in a tight, shield-like formation, holding blazing torches high above their heads. The smoke would billow backward into the deep chambers, choking the air and blinding the bear. The bright, flickering light cast massive, shifting shadows on the cave walls, making the human group appear larger, stranger, and entirely unnatural. The bear, waking from torpor or resting in its den, would find itself trapped in a claustrophobic nightmare of smoke, blinding light, and booming echoes. Blinded and coughing, the giant would panic, charging wildly toward the cave exit, directly into a wall of set spears held firmly by the line of ancient humans. The bear's own momentum and panic drove it onto the blades. Ancient humans conquered the cave bear by taking away its greatest asset, its sense of security in the dark. Finally, we reach the absolute peak of prehistoric danger, the ultimate ambush nightmare. The saber-toothed cat, specifically the Smilodon. This was not a creature built for long chases or loud warnings. It was a hyper-specialized machine of pure stealth, weighing up to 800 pounds, with front limbs denser and more powerful than a lion's. Its entire anatomy was designed for one specific action: pinning an animal down instantly and using its iconic 7-inch knife-like canine teeth to slash open the throat in a single silent second. The saber-tooth hunted from the shadows of dense brush or tall grass. By the time you knew it was there, you were already dying. It was the ultimate psychological phantom of the ancient world. To hunt the phantom, ancient humans had to completely invert the rules of nature. They had to eliminate the possibility of an ambush entirely. Ancient humans began to radically alter the landscapes they lived in. They would use controlled burns to clear out large sections of thick brush and tall grass around their camps, turning dense hiding spots into wide open spaces where stealth was impossible. But the true genius of the hunt lay in psychological manipulation. Ancient humans realized that the saber-tooth, despite its immense power, was a cautious hunter. It relied entirely on surprise. If it lost the element of surprise, it would hesitate. Ancient humans would intentionally use themselves as bait. A small, vulnerable-looking group would walk near the edge of the remaining woods, deliberately drawing the cat's attention. But hidden just behind them, out of sight, was the rest of the tribe, armed with long-range hunting tools. The moment the saber-tooth leaped from the shadows, expecting an easy, defenseless kill, the trap would spring. The bait group wouldn't run in panic. They would turn, stand their ground, and raise their weapons while the hidden hunters flooded the zone from the flanks. The cat's mind, wired for a quick, silent execution, couldn't process the sudden shift from an easy meal to an overwhelming counterattack. Before its deadly fangs could even close around a target, it was met with a hail of spears from angles it never saw coming. Ancient humans didn't just hunt the saber-tooth. They systematically hunted the very concept of the shadow. When you look back across the thousands of years of our deep past, a chilling realization begins to take shape. For millions of years, nature was governed by physical evolution. If you wanted to be a predator, you had to spend 1,000,000 years growing sharper teeth, stronger muscles, or faster legs. But ancient humans found a loophole in the system. We didn't wait for our bodies to change. We changed our minds. We used logic, endurance, geography, and psychological terror to break every single rule that kept the natural world in balance. By the time the Ice Age came to an end, the monsters that had ruled the food chain for millennia were gone. Not because they failed, but because they encountered a new kind of predator. A hairless, fragile ape that proved far more terrifying than any fang or claw nature ever created.